that missed us. 1 second, guys. Welcome to the call, everybody. This is Steve Burton with Equity One talking to you from live in Chesapeake, Virginia. Some of you are listening to us all over the country. Wherever you're at, we appreciate you being here tonight. You know, we're a financial services company, as many of you know. Some of you got handed off this link by some other means. If you want to get a hold of us, or we'll show you how to do so in the future. If you register for this webinar, you can probably get to our websites and contact us if you need it to. How did I come up with the 30-day financial fitness challenge? Well, I've told people this story, and so anyway, that's our topic tonight, the 30-day financial fitness challenge, and why most Americans need to be taking this challenge. I was on one of my radio shows about 6 weeks, maybe 2 months ago, and doing a radio show live here in Virginia, and one Saturday morning, I thought about fitness. I was thinking about fitness, working out. And then I thought about financial fitness. And then I thought about the financial fitness challenge, and then the 30-day financial fitness challenge. So on this live radio show, right before a break, right before we went to commercial, I thought about, and I threw it out there on the air, just to see if there would be any interest. And a lot of people contacted us, go, yeah, Steve, I'd like to take the 30-day financial fitness challenge. I said, okay, I'll get back to you after I create the 30-day financial fitness challenge. So it became popular out of the gate, and some of you are taking it already, and others will in the future. And I encourage you to retake it if you needed to. What I want to go through tonight is just in talking to people about what each day would look like and why you need to be taking this challenge. And anyway, let me see. I've got 2 different saved versions of this. So let me see if this is the one that I want to be showing you. It is. This is pretty good. Hey, first step to me is to go to steveburtonsmoneyschool.com and sign up for the fitness challenge. What are you going to do? You know, I've had people come into my office, some people that make a little bit of money, some people that were in so much debt I had to get them out of debt before they can do anything and start saving, to give themselves some breathing room, and again, to start saving. I've had other people coming in here making hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars, and not knowing where their money went. So I said, do you have a budget? Well, if you're going to get financially fit, don't you think that we need to take the next 30 days and find out what we need to do? The first day is that you take the pledge. You commit to yourself, not to me, to yourself, that you're on a mission to get your finances in a better situation. You take care of that by developing a financial awareness about your savings, about taking the pledge, building wealth and security for yourself and your family. And we come out with this page 1, and this is the first step. Whether you take this thing 1 time or whether you take it 100 times, you're probably going to be asked to take the pledge, commit to yourself, because think about it. It all sounds great, but if you don't do anything about it, if you don't make some minor financial decisions that will lead to big changes, or some of you need major financial overhauls in your life because you're either delusional about your situation, you may be unrealistic about where you're at in your wealth building curve, whatever. Make the commitment. That's step number 1. Step number 2, day 2, take the quiz. Why do you do this? You set financial goals for yourself. You know, I learned this about 35 years ago. Went to an Amway convention, and they talked about goal setting. And although my wife and myself got involved in Amway for a little bit of time, I learned a couple good things from them. Goal setting and how to speak in front of people. I'm not that great at the speaking in front of the people right now, although I do it for a living every day, every week, every month, every year. I guess I've gotten a little bit better at. I'm really good about setting daily goals, hourly goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, annual goals. I find that if I don't have a goal, something to work toward, I don't do a very good job of achieving things. I'm kind of like just at random. So 1, set a goal. I think that would be priority number 1 in that assessment. Where are you at? Do you set a goal? Assess yourself here. Do you have a budget? I had a couple that came in not long ago, and I asked them, if you have a budget, do you know where the money's going? Yeah, we know where every penny's going. I said, write it down for a month and tell me that you know that. How can you have a budget? How can you hit any kind of goal if you don't have a budget, don't know where the money's going? How much money do you spend on rent, mortgage, and utility bills? Do you know that number? If you're married, probably one of you knows it. The other one may not, so set that. You need to save at least 10%. I say in my second book, you need to save nearly 15%. If you can only save 1% now, work your way up to at least 15%. What do you have coming up ahead of the curve? You need to purchase a new car? Does the roof need to be replaced on the house? Is college funding coming up? Your kids going away to school. There's never too soon to start planning for that. How often do you look at your credit report? How often do you look and examine your bank statements, your retirement statements? I have people come in here with unopened statements, dozens of statements sometimes, and a lot of them unopened. I go, oh my gosh, how do you know where you're at if you don't look at that? And I know it's not everyone's situation here tonight. Some of you got some of this going on. Some of you don't have it going on. And the number 10, look at that number 110 right there. I continue to learn and advance my financial education. You know how many personal finance classes I took in school? 0. Math is not money. There's a difference. And understanding your credit, how much your mortgage costs, taxes that you pay, what you have left over every month, add all that up and see where you stand on this quiz and assess yourself fairly. Don't be too hard on yourself, because we're going to set some goals and we're going to start moving ahead. So that's day 2. If you've not done that yet, I'd encourage you to go back and do it, or go back and take a look at it. We send these things to you every day. I don't know what happened to day 3 right there, but it skipped over to day 4. Talk about, getting your credit report. That tells a lot about people, their credit score. You also, if you haven't pulled a credit score in the last little bit, you can get a free credit report by clicking down through there. And you want to know what's going on there. You want to know what the banks think about you. Well, Steve, I don't need to borrow any money right now. Yeah, but you position yourself for the future. Borrowing money wisely is one of the keys to financial building wealth, getting rid of bad debt, keeping good debt, and all those types of things. So you want to go and find out, again, getting financially fit. Let's get your credit history financially fit. Let's clear up the bad debt. Let's get the bad things that may not be even yours cleared off your credit score. And let's make sure that if you need to borrow in the future, that you can get the lowest interest rate possible because you look grand on paper. You have a top credit score and you're able to borrow. People are doing cartwheels to loan you money. In my past, a lot of times people wouldn't loan me a penny when they were justified looking back. But because I've cleaned up my finances, now people are all too willing to loan me money. It's nice when you don't need the money and they lend it to you. Isn't that the way it normally goes? When you need it, they don't want to lend it to you. And when you've got it, they don't, they do hand cartwheels all over the place trying to loan you money. That's day 4. I don't know why this thing, and I'm going to go back in a little bit and try to figure out where day 5 and anyway, my guy that put this together for me. Day 6, your assets. List your assets. Some of you don't have very many assets. Some of you got a lot. And list them. Your IRAs, your 401ks, the accounts that you left behind at your previous jobs, how much equity you've got in your house, a bucket of gold sitting in your safe or a safety deposit box, a piece of real estate, an investment in a business, some stocks that you got, some whatever you had for years and years. Let's list the assets and let's see what you've got. Because some of these assets may have been good in the past. They may not be great now. Looking at your assets right here, I had a client in not long ago and they had a lot of money in cash. It's an asset, but it's right now it's barely going anywhere. It's earning point nothing. So if you got all of your assets tied up in things that are at risk or things that aren't growing, we've got to tweak that out. We need to make that change. Take out your liabilities. You take your assets minus your liabilities, and let's see what we come up with right there. We're going to talk about that. But fill out, this is also the stage where it sees right there, it says confidential client profile. If you want some personal coaching, click on that page 6, that day 6 right there, and fill out. We will email you this profile where you can fill in the content online. It's a Word document. You can fill that out. Send it back to me, and now in a future days or so, we'll do a personal coaching call. During the 30 days, we want to take some time and take a look at you and coach you along. Hey, what have you done in the last 6 days, the last 10 days, the last 12 days? What have you done there to make your situation better? I see that you've got this going on. I see that you've got that going on. So if you want that personal attention, privacy laws, I can't share that with other people. That's for my eyes. It's here in the office for my eyes. If you ask me for it back, I can send it back to you, throw it in my shredded box. By law, I can't share it with anyone. That stays here with me. So it's between me and you. It can't go anywhere else. But I would encourage you, list your assets, your income. I will also say that if you're closer to retirement, make sure you go to ssa.gov, like I was just telling a 63-year-old and a 61-year-old couple that was just here just shortly ago in my office. They didn't have their Social Security numbers. And I pulled up ssa.gov, and I said, as part of your financial fitness challenge, I need to know those numbers. I would say that if you're at age in your late 50s, early 60s, you need to get a running account and give us your Social Security benefits at age 62, age 66, and 70. If you're married, make sure we get them for both spouses. If you're divorced and not remarried, see if you could give me some information about your ex, because there's some claiming strategies that goes on there. But day six, fill out that profile and get it back to us. Client, right here's the continuation of that. List your income. First one's list your assets, now your retirement and your liabilities. Now you're collecting data. You're not rushed to send it all through there. So as we put it together here, take a day, list your assets, minus out your liabilities. We'll talk about that a little bit, and I know we're coming up on some other slides where we'll talk about the liabilities. What's a liability? Anything you owe somebody else. And you go, well, Steve, I don't owe any debt. I said this to a client earlier today. I said, well, you got $400,000 in an IRA. Try taking all that IRA out and seeing how much the government lets you keep. The taxes are a debt. So that's a risk. My point to him is that he really didn't have $400,000 in that IRA. Because Uncle Sam is going to want something from him. 20%, 25%, 30%. So his 400 grand is probably more worth like 275 or 300,000. The problem with that kind of debt and that kind of liability is it's an increasing debt. It's a moving target, meaning we don't know what the tax rates will be in the future, so we have to factor that in. So day 7, complete and fill out that profile. Again, get it back to us. If you've got rental properties, list them individually. On mortgages, I will tell you, on the debts, starting balances, remaining balance, monthly payment, and interest rates. On mortgages, make sure you list the current value of the real estate. Make sure you list the mortgage, if it's a 30 or 15-year mortgage, the start date, the interest rate, your principal and interest payment, and you can list your escrows at insurance and taxes separate from that. If you have more than one piece of real estate, then list that as well. Even if you have to fill out 2 of these or 3 of these or 5 of these, get them back to us. If you're a business owner, make sure you include some details about your business, because you have even more opportunities right there than the typical person. Day 8. Goal setting. What are your top 10 financial goals? We're trying to make this as simple as possible for people. We're taking it steps. And in a hectic world where people are running what seems, I love it when people come in and they're retired and they go, Steve, we're so busy. I'm going, you're retired. People find a way to occupy their times most of the time. And my point to you is that we're trying to lay out a step-by-step, easy as you go, not too overwhelming and all at one chunk, but in 30 days' time, putting you on a mission to get a fair assessment of where you're at, start getting rid of the bad things, start improving the good things, and giving you some things to go by, and then repeat, and then do it again next month, and do it next. Pretty soon, this stuff becomes second nature to you as you're going through there. Put a strategy on what your goals are. I like what we've got down through here. G stands for, get a goal. Outline the plan. We need to have a plan of action. We need to have action. Act. You need to act on a plan. My goals and dream, sometimes I hit my goals, sometimes I fall short of them, but I'm constantly setting new goals. Where are you at in that progress? I'm always mindful of where I'm at. I'm always setting new goals. I always come up a little bit short on a lot of things, but that just forces me to stretch a little bit more. It gives me something to be competitive about and move on. And just have that system right there. You need to have a system, and that's what we're hoping to develop right here for you. Later, we're going to clarify those goals, and when we come back, I want to come back in in 30 days time, in 60 days, in a year's time, in 2 years time, and see how many of these goals that you've hit. You'd be shocked that once you start having a target to aim for, you'd be shocked at how quickly things start to fall into place right there. Adopting the right habits. You know, let's go down through some of these. I won't hit on all of them. Let me highlight a couple of them down through here. You develop poor habits, you end up broke. You end up struggling. What does that mean? That means if you go out there and you don't have a financial awareness of where you're at, then you don't know how much money's coming in. All of a sudden the debt starts building up. I talk about, you know, becoming the CEO of your own life. See that right there? I'm going to talk about that. Let's read that right there. You know, I want you to sit down on the first of every month and take a real clear look at your finances. Look at your profit and loss. Do you ever run a profit and loss statement? If you're a business owner, you know what I mean. You have to account for every penny, or you're supposed to anyway, every penny that passes through the business's hand. And if you work for somebody and you have to prepare that report, you need to determine each month as to whether you turned a profit or you had a loss. If there was a profit, why was there a profit? And what should we do with it? Is it a profit that we'll need in the short term when we'll just leave that in cash? If we had more of a profit this month, then maybe we add some additional monies to our long-term accounts. But become the CEO of your own life. 15 minutes in a month's time at the first of the month. And again, if you're married, sitting down with your spouse and looking at your finances, not a time to argue, not a time to beat yourself up, but realistically sit down with clear vision and determine, are you the CEO of your own life? In doing this, we want to start building up your savings. You've got to have some money in your rainy day account. What is that? That's an emergency fund. That's that short-term vehicle, not in your checking account. That's money that you put into a separate rainy day emergency fund. Emergencies aren't new pairs of shoes. Emergencies aren't, you know, a new toy that you need to play with. Emergency is not a new big screen TV. It's what it is, what it says. You need tires on the car, you don't want to put it on a MasterCard. You take it out of savings, pay cash for it, and pay your savings account back over the next couple months. You look at that. Once you start building that savings up, how much money should you have in your rainy day account? Probably 3 to 6 months worth of your earnings. You go, Steve, I don't have anywhere close to that. You start 50 bucks at a time, 100 bucks at a time, whatever you can do to build that up. There comes a point where you have too much money in cash, and I've seen that a lot of times. So build up a rainy day account. What's our game plan for reducing our debt? Don't use credit cards. Pay those things down. We're going to talk about that. Use cash. I will tell you, if you take 30 days and you pay cash for everything, meaning you've got to whip out the 20s and the 50s and the 100s to pay for something, you'll think differently about shopping than you would if you put it on plastic. Even if it's your debit card. The plastic makes it seem, you know, just not real. And so when you take out cash out of your wallet, you think twice about the purchase of that, whatever you're trying to do. Increase the savings in your retirement accounts, whether it's the 401ks at work. And when you get a pay raise, when you pay down the debt, give your retirement accounts a pay raise as well. It's a simple formula that can help you achieve those goals. A few tips down through here. Start small. You know, you don't build wealth overnight. You didn't get into debt overnight. You're not going to get out of debt overnight as well. Start small and build. What's the process? Constantly be evaluating the situation and what you're doing right there. Discuss it with your spouse. You want to make sure if you're married or there's somebody in your life right there you're sharing your life with, you need to make sure that you're on the same page. Let's go on to the next page, see what we can come up with. Skipping some pages right here for whatever reason. Day 11. Do you have that budget? Are you following along? Are you keeping the budget? Are you making, and I will tell you, this is a big part. You had the budget that you created, but you can create a budget. If you don't stick to the budget, then how do you gonna make any progress? Meaning, if you pay off one debt and go rack up a new debt, or you start a budget and go, hey, I'm gonna limit my entertainment to X number of dollars per month, and you're not keeping a daily, a weekly, account of where things are, then all of a sudden at the end of the month you go, look, wow, we spent twice as much money as what I budgeted. So you need to make sure that you stay on point right there with your budget. So you constantly, but you know what? this becomes, again, second nature to you as you start going along. Build your budget based on what you take home, not what you make. You know, I'm amazed at how many people don't think about the taxes and whatever. And you know, well, I'm making 80 grand a year. Well, that's not what you're bringing home, so you need to look at it that way. Track the spending for a month. I will tell you, there's all kinds of gadgets on your smartphones, your Nooks, your Kindles, or whatever you can download, and we'll send you some tips on where to do that. It makes it very easy to track every expense. I typically say that every dollar you spend is like 5 future dollars, so you'll want to do that. Put your savings on autopilot. The reason that there's so much more money in 401ks than IRAs is because there's a couple reasons, but the main one is that the 401k, the TSP, is put on autopilot, meaning you enroll one time, and until you tell them to stop, it happens every paycheck. You don't think about it. So save automatically. If it's money being diverted into a savings account, set it up automatically. It happens routinely coming out of your paycheck, and you could do that. Prioritize your spending. What do you have to have versus what can you put off to a later date? Do you really need that 12th new pairs of shoes this month? You have to look at all those things. Daily spending. Again, avoid the credit cards. You know, I stand in a convenience store and I kind of look around, and I'm driving in, I'm dressed in a suit, and there's some people dressed nicely, but a lot of blue collar people come through there. I'm just an average guy. I don't pretend to be nothing more than I am. In that, I'm amazed at how many people come in there and put this, that, and everything on their credit card. And I'm going, oh my gosh. You know, their breakfast, 2 or 3 drinks, an energy drink, a bag of snacks. I see them walking out 25, 30 bucks in their bag. I'm going, is that a day's worth of stuff or is that a week's worth of stuff? Think how much cheaper it would have been if they bought it at the grocery store, at the Sam's, the Walmart, or something. They could have probably saved. But because it's on plastic and it's convenient, they just do it. So watch what you spend no matter how much you make. Tackle the credit card debt. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I need to go on. Build up some action. I'm running out of time here, guys. Let me click through some slides. We try to keep these things to 30 minutes or so. Good debt versus bad debt. This is really good right here. This is where we start getting into the meat of things. If you have debt, what's good debt? Well, we're going to send you a video on my Money School 101. I teach this at businesses and other places, and you may have seen me do it here. Good debt is any debt that will help you increase your income or asset appreciation. Good debt could be a student loan, meaning had you not gone to school, got an education, you would not have had the income potential. But I will tell you, a student loan could very quickly turn into a bad debt if you don't use it. You go to school and rack up the debt and come out and you don't use that education, that degree for what you intended. Now you're just left with debt. A mortgage could be a good form of a debt. Done properly, it lets you have a place to live. It lets you buy a $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 house with 10% down, maybe 3, 10, 20% down. So you use that financial leverage, that OPM, as I call it right here, to build wealth. OPM, other people's money. Broke people use OPM to buy stuff they can't afford. Wealthy people use OPM to buy assets, appreciating assets. Broke people use OPM's money to buy depreciating assets. That means if you didn't have the money to pay cash for the cars or the jet skis or the boats or the vacations that make you feel good, you're enjoying it now, but you're living on other people's money. You're paying them back with interest. So we got to get rid of the bad debt. We want to optimize the good debt. I would say credit cards, car loans, boat loans, student loans, I want them gone first. And then the mortgages last. The mortgage you'll end up paying more interest than any other account that you've ever had normally. But I want that gone last because it's stretched out over a longer period of time. Plus you get a tax break for that. Plus it's not too bad. The interest rates are pretty low right now. Old school. If you're going to go old school debt elimination, make the minimum payments on everything you've got. The credit card, remember we're talking credit cards, car loans, student loans, boat loans, those things here. Make the minimum payments on everything, regardless of the interest rates, and gang up on the lowest balance one. You want to take and make interest, all the extra payments on low one. I don't care what the interest rate is on the other one. Lowest balance one first. That does a couple things for you. One, It gives you a sense of accomplishment when you pay off one, regardless of the interest rate. Honey, we just paid off that $2,500 credit card that's been, let's close it all out and go on to the next one. Then you take and you gang up on the next lowest balance one. This works. Dave Ramsey calls it the snowball effect. I call it steamrolling. People, he didn't invent it. It's just been around. Old school debt reduction works. Get focused and get after it. New school is our wealth accelerator. It combines your checking account with a small line of credit to create a powerful strategy where you use nothing money from the bank to pay off these credit cards in days and weeks instead of months and years. And even to the point where you can pay off, I've seen people pay off their houses in 6 to 12 years, one lady as quickly as 4 years. If you want to know more about the Wealth Accelerator, go to that website right there. That's one of mine, and watch the videos on the Wealth Accelerator. That's a very powerful program. So let's get after the debt. Let's march on to the next page. Again, running out of time here. Actually, I'm running over here a couple minutes. Let's skip through a couple things. That Day 13, mastering your mortgage. You're going to learn about mastering your mortgage. What does that mean? Some of you should never pay off your house. Why? Because the interest rate is low, and you have income, and you have big 401k, so you're going to need that interest right up on your mortgage to offset distributions from the 401k money distributions. When it comes out in retirement, it goes in your pocket. That's some of you. Some of you go, I don't care about that, Steve. I just want to pay the house off. But I will tell you, if you get wealth accumulation out of order, meaning bad debt goes away first, build wealth second, have a strategy. I call it creating a glide path for the mortgage. So if you have a 30-year mortgage and you want to retire in 8 years, let's develop an 8-year mortgage. If you want to be debt-free, truly debt-free, including the mortgage, let's take your 30-year mortgage and we'll develop an 8-year strategy. If it's a 12-year, it's a 4-year. Now, if you don't have the resources and it won't work, I'm going to tell you that. But that Wealth Accelerator will greatly shift the advantage from the banks to you. You need to learn about that Wealth Accelerator, and don't forget how to go to that. There's a link to it, but also you can go to cashflowmoneywave.com. Cut your discretionary spending. Christmas is coming up. We're all tempted. I'm tempted to go out, and I like giving. I like giving to people around me. I do that, but in the past I used to do it, and I had to borrow it on credit cards, and I would pay back those Christmas presents. I joke sometimes. I had one guy come in, and I could swear that in 2009 he still had Christmas presents from 2001 embedded in his MasterCard. And some of you got it rolled into your mortgage, and so you'll pay it off in 2040. So cut your discretionary spending. Watch what you're spending. Respect your money. Respecting your money is knowing where every dollar goes. Do you think before you lay that $2 down for that drink at the convenience store? Do you think about you spending $10, $25, $30, $50, $100 on that purchase? Because Steve, it's only $25. $2,500 a year spent on coffee and lunch, times 20 years, 25 years, times if you had bought half of that much and put the rest of it away for the future, how much more money? Most of you'd have another $250,000 saved if you just watch what you do and spend a little bit. So look at your discretionary spending, and all these types of different things. That rainy day fund, we're just trying to keep you moving forward, taking another step. Are you building it up? Have you looked for a better rate of return on it? What are your accounts earning? There's all kinds of things out there, guys. I'm going to leave it by because we're not going to unveil the rest of the steps. I think we're in day 12 or day 13 of this deal. There's so many things that you can do. You get started. You start building habits. You start getting educated about your money, and you'll be shocked at every day. It gets a little bit better. Some days you'll take giant leaps forward because of your goals. Occasionally, something will happen to the car. Your kids will need something. You'll get laid off in something. You need that emergency fund to live on. You want to also make sure your retirement accounts are in the right vehicles. Do you have the right retirement accounts? That's what we'll talk about on our coaching call. Guys, I always try to keep this thing to right at 30 minutes or so and run it a little bit long. I'm not telling you everything you need to know here tonight. I'm just trying to motivate you a little bit to make it a little bit better each and every day. Guys, this one will be saved. It will be loaded into our Steve Burton's Money School library. Remember that YouTube channel I said there. If any of you need to get a hold of us, you got our websites, the steveburtonsmoneyschool.com or equityoneInc.com. You got so many of those. I'm going to end the call right now. I appreciate everybody being on the call. If you're closer to retirement, we have a new program we call Retirement Checkup, Retire Checkup. If you want to make sure you're close to where you need to be, if you're 5 years out or 10 years out, you better get it. You better have a game plan. You better be sure. If you're already in retirement, is it going to stay good for you? If something changes, the stock market falls off a cliff, a loss of a spouse, claiming benefits wrong. Guys, there's so many things I could add to it. I appreciate your time tonight. Hopefully you got something out of it. I'll end the call. We look forward to talking to you. If I can help you, call the office, 877-313-4080. Signing off. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.